Hey, you beautiful people, you want some really, really tasty vodka? It's Hammer vodka. This stuff, I got to tell you something, made of Colorado Rocky Mountain water, Brazilian-free sugar cane and yeast, and it is the best tasting vodka you'll ever have. It is 100% organic, zero carbs.
I like it a lot.
All right.
Hey, drink more and lose weight.
Yeah. You don't need Weight Watchers. You got Hammer vodka.
You got Hammer vodka.
There you go. But listen, the Menendez brothers. What do you think, man?
You know what? It's interesting. The Menendez brothers obliterated their parents back in 1989. They just blew them apart with shotguns. Yeah. And they went to jail, and they got life without the possibility of parole. And then like in 1995, their sentencing came up again because of this alleged sexual abuse on both the boys. And the courts called it inadmissible evidence. So they stayed in jail, and they kept their sentencing, which was, again, life without the possibility of parole.
I'm pretty intimate with the Menendez boys because
tell me more about that.
Back in those days, I had a relationship with Hard Copy.
Yeah.
And, I got to go into the house. I got to go in the library where they were shot. We saw the whole thing. I interviewed the grandmother. And back then there was nobody said anything about sexual abuse. It hadn't been brought up. That happened in the second trial. The first trial, there was no resolution. That didn't come up. But then they brought it out, and the judge threw it out.
And what's making this really hot right now, Hammers? There's a new Netflix series that just came out, which I just watched. I think it was like a 3 or 4 or 5 episode, whatever. There's a lot of it was a portrayal of the entire events.
Yeah.
And the alleged sexual abuse is horrific, and if it did indeed happen, will remain horrific, and these guys should maybe get resentenced. What they're looking for, it's Gascon, right? The LA prosecutor.
Which I don't like.
I can't stand that guy.
He's too light on crime.
Way too light on crime. And goes right up the chain to Governor Hairgel.
Yeah.
But regardless, Gascon has got these guys in front of a judge to say, hey, let's take a look at the sentencing again. These kids have been in jail for kids. They're 50-something now, right? They've been in jail for over 30 years or 28 years, something like that.
Yeah, 30 years.
And they're saying now, hey, now let's go ahead and submit this evidence. Let's prove that they've been abused, and they didn't have a right to kill their parents, but let's take a look at it and see if we should, give them the opportunity to be paroled.
Guys, it's a little busy out here for us today. We're at Aliso Viejo Country Club, and they've got a great event. Darts Only Golf is putting it on, and wow, what a beautiful place. But let me tell you something. To kill your parents in that way, I mean, these guys shot their dad with a shotgun, and then they went and reloaded and came back in and killed their mother.
Yeah, and that's part of that series I watched as well. Again, it's TV. Heaven knows how much of that's real or not. But in that,
none of it.
Yeah, in that, the boys, after they killed their parents, with a few weeks there right after, they were buying cars. They were buying clothes. They were going on vacations. They were using that money.
Yeah.
And so you go, oh, let's see what's going on with that.
Well, Mr. Menendez had a porn company, a video porn company that was in Chatsworth that was very successful. And his mom lived in Chatsworth. That's where I went and visited her. But
I thought that's where you're going to have the connection with your porn.
Yeah,
your
exactly.
Porn history.
Hey, it's that short. But anyway,
it was called Hammer too, I think.
It was called that short. But you know what? Listen. They were 22, 23, and 18 when they went to jail. They were babies. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. And, I don't mind them getting out if they're good to society, Well,
that's part of what they're saying. In jail, they've been, ideal inmates. A lot of the family came out and said, let's get them back. Although Kitty's brother went on camera and said, those boys should rot in hell. Don't ever let them out. So there's, that's going to be pretty tough.
And I understand his point. I mean, I get that. I mean, if that would have been my family, I'm going to go, I'm going to stab your eyes out. But,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but...
And they also said, by the way, in this series, and again, I don't know if it's true or not, but the older brother is Eric, right?
Right. Eric and Lyle. Lyle is the older one.
Lyle's the older one?
I think so. Lyle and Eric, yeah.
So the older one, who was abused first by the dad, then started abusing his brother. He was doing the exact same stuff with his brother that his dad was doing to him.
If that's true.
If it's true, yeah. It's just this huge web of bullshit that's going on, which is just horrible. So they're going to try to retry him. And if they do, And if the judge agrees to it, and by the way, Governor Hairgel still might have an opportunity to override that, even if the judge says, yeah, let him out.
Right.
He might be able to rubber stamp that and say no. But the idea is they would now be qualified for parole, and if that's the case, they'd parole them immediately and they'd get right out of jail.
Well, listen, I remember how pompous ass these kids were, but they were kids.
They were
you
kids.
know? And I think they got that they were living in Beverly Hills in a mansion. You know, they had their own tennis courts in the backyard, the whole bit. And, you know, I walked through that house and it was a beautiful house. But, you know, sometimes, you know, parents give their kids too much.
Yeah, you know, Hammer, another point about this abuse thing, just to bring that back in the fold, there's this kid from the band Menudo. Yeah. He came forward and said he was abused by the father as well. So now there's third party corroboration saying, hey, this guy's an abuser. So who knows?
He was in the porn industry. I mean, guys, it's all open for discussion. I mean, it is what it is. But,
yeah.
They've been there 30 years. I think they were young men at that time. I think they deserve a fair chance to get out if they're going to be good citizens.
And I would think that money's gone by now as well. If
it's all gone.
Yeah, the money's got to be gone, but they can't, you know, get out and use that stuff. But whatever, it's a horribly tragic story.
It's horrible no matter how it lays out. It's horrible that Mr. and Mrs. Menendez lost their lives. It's horrible that their kids killed them.
Yeah.
And it's horrible if there was sexual abuse. But guys, listen, if there is sexual abuse to you or anybody around you, make sure you hit that 911 and you make sure people know what's going on with you, okay?
Yeah, and if there's just a question, if something's like a little off, don't hesitate to do something about that, because it's those little offs that we're starting to see in the news all the time, Hammer, right? These the shooters and the people who are doing the worst stupid things. There's always a tell, right?
There's always something.
Well, the kid at school never talked to anybody. He was always by himself, and he talked about shooting up a school. Those little things matter, you know. And if that's coming up in conversations you're having with people you know or friends you know, do something about it.
Yeah. Hey, see something, say something.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Peace out.